Hey everyone, welcome back to Web3 Founders World Talk. We're here to bring you a very candid conversation with visionary founders who are revolutionizing industry through blockchain, decentralization, and cutting-edge technologies. Without further ado, let's welcome the co-founder of Origin Protocol, Josh, to the show today. Welcome, Josh.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
Well, would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself and Origin Protocol?
Sure. So I'm Josh Fraser. I'm one of the two co-founders of Origin Protocol. We've been building in the space since 2017. Originally launched with a vision to build all sorts of different types of decentralized marketplaces on the blockchain. And have since focused in on two different verticals, DeFi and NFTs. On the NFT side, we have a product called Origin Story. We've done a lot of the top record-breaking sales on the NFT space, starting with Blouse that did $11.7 million, really brought NFTs into mainstream consciousness. And then that unlocked doors for us to work with all sorts of mainstream musicians, artists, celebrities, people like Paris Hilton, big brands like SpaceX, and the list goes on. Today we work with projects like Pudgy Penguins, which use Origin Story platform to power their own NFT marketplace. On the DeFi side, we have a couple of products that are really focused around helping you earn money in DeFi without all of the hassle that's typically associated with yield farming in crypto. So we have Origin Dollar, which yield-bearing stablecoin is pegged to $1. You can just hold it in your wallet, and the yield is delivered directly to your wallet. And we just launched, just a week and a half ago, launched a new product called Origin Ether, or OETH, which does basically the same thing, except instead of helping you stack more dollars, it helps you earn more ETH. And so we think of it as like the easiest way to earn. You can just buy it, hold it, watch your balance go up. And just in the last week and a half, 2 weeks, we've already seen like $13.5 million flow in to OETH. Yields right now, it's yielding about 11.5% APY on your ETH. So obviously pretty attractive rates with all of the same sort of security and guarantees that we have from Origin Dollar, which has been around for years and battle tested with hundreds of millions of dollars of TVL. So pretty exciting stuff going on both sides of our business, and excited to share more about it with you today.
Wow, that's really impressive. Would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself as well? How was your, crypto journey so far?
Yeah, I got into computers really early. So I started playing with computers when I was 10 years old. My dad bought me an Apple IIe computer and a basic programming book, and I've been hooked ever since. So I've been playing with computers for a long time, building stuff on the internet for a long time. Got my first exposure to Bitcoin in 2010. Read the Bitcoin white paper. It was either like dig.com or Hacker News, one of those sites. Downloaded some mining software and started mining Bitcoin on my own laptop. This is back where you could actually do it. I think took me like 7 hours. I mined a block, got 50 Bitcoin reward for doing it. But it was making my computer like overheat, and I couldn't get any actual work done. So I was like, cool, I've got 50 Bitcoins, whatever that means. Time to like turn this off and go back to real work. This is before there was no exchange, there was no price, there was no, like, this is long before like Bitcoin Big Pizza had happened. But I thought it was a very interesting idea. Fast forward to 2017, when stuff started really heating up, and I was like, where did I put that laptop? Right? Found the laptop. Bitcoin was still there, and still have those 50 Bitcoin today. But that really got me back in the space. Started looking at Ethereum. My co-founder kept nagging me, hey, you got to check out Ethereum. You got to check out Ethereum. I finally did. And when I did, it was like one of those aha moments of like, I don't know what we're going to do with this, but this unlocks a whole new class of problems in computer science have never been solvable before, around how we do trustless computing. And very quickly went down the rabbit hole, wanted to learn more about how this stuff works, playing with it, actually started writing some smart contracts and trading and just getting in the space. And then, decided to jump in full time. And at this point, I want to spend the rest of my life working in crypto. It's the coolest thing to I can imagine to work on.
Yeah, that's super cool. Especially, I like your Bitcoin mining story, and you're definitely one of the like early adopters and pioneers. And since you mentioned that Origin Protocol has established in 2017, so you guys are definitely be able to survive from multiple cycles. We're just wondering, why did you guys establish a project in the first place? Given that you're giving a shot in DeFi and NFT. So why you guys just, do want to expand your branch out your business to DeFi space along with NFT? Yeah. What kind of elements?
Yeah, it's interesting. So we were building decentralized marketplaces, and we started by thinking of like, how can we build things like Uber or Airbnb on the blockchain? 2017, there was a lot of stuff that hadn't been solved yet around how we do identity on the blockchain, how we do private transactions. People don't want to publish their real-time location on a mutable blockchain for all time. We didn't have a whole lot of options around layer twos, so gas fees, paying tens of dollars or hundreds of dollars to pay for a transaction doesn't make sense if the cost of that transaction is only $10. You spend more on gas than on the transaction itself. So there are a lot of problems we hadn't figured out yet. And not all of them have been fully solved to this day. And so while we built a prototype that was out there, you could use it, we weren't seeing a lot of adoption, right? There were a lot of core pieces that hadn't been figured out. And so we said, we started looking at whatever type of marketplaces that we can build where we can, don't need to worry about the online, offline component, where everything you're doing is on chain. And so that's why we started looking into NFTs and started looking into DeFi. And we set up 2 experiments, and we said, let's do an NFT project. Let's do this idea we have around the stablecoin. Maybe one of these 2 things will work. Probably they'll both fail, but let's just, we'll have 2 different shots on goal here to see if anything works. And then to our surprise, both of them took off, right? On one hand, we did Blau Silva did $11.7 million, and then the other experiment quickly grew to $300 million in TVL. So we were like, okay, we weren't planning to have 2 competing products, but I don't know which one to kill because they're both doing too well. So that's how we ended up having products in both of these very hot verticals in crypto. Sort of an accident that we ended up where we are today, but I guess it's mostly a good thing that we've had both of our products experience so much success.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a really smart move that you're decided to give it a shot to the 2 sectors, and congratulations on all those latest progress. Well, I'm just wondering, have you encountered any challenges or resistance since there are a lot of Web3 entrepreneurs, they will find this industry very dynamic, I would say. So there are a lot of risk elements could occur, and like, what's your recipe to share with everyone else? Is there any insights you like to share with them?
I mean, there's always challenges, no matter what, whether you're working in crypto or elsewhere.
Yeah.
Being an entrepreneur is going from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm, and you just have to keep going, have to be persistent and resilient. So yeah, but of course there's numerous challenges we've faced. Macro conditions being a big one, where just in the last year, I mean, how many different blows has the space endured, right? From 3AC and Luna to FTX collapse and the amount of scams and things that are going on, and then all of the regulatory crackdowns and attempts to ban crypto or ban stable coins, the challenges around we have a yield-bearing stablecoin, and who could have predicted that the Fed would be raising rates, and now the rates you can get holding your dollars in a bank account would be higher than what you can get in DeFi. I would not have predicted that So of course, there's always these unforeseen challenges that come along. And when your job as an entrepreneur is to just roll with the punches and figure out how to, where you need to adapt, right? And so while we're seeing a lot of headwinds on Origin Dollar, where we're seeing regulatory crackdowns, we're seeing it's really hard to get a competitive APY. We have issues with, whether some people don't like Tether because there's a lot of, OESDs backed by Tether, USDC, and DAI. And they all have their own challenges, right? Some people hate Tether, some people hate USDC or think it's got regulatory risk. DAI has its own challenges with some of the moves their governance has been making lately. And so while we're facing all those challenges on the stablecoin side, there's a lot of headwind, a lot of tailwinds for us on the Ethereum side. And so that's where we're sort of adapting. We're saying, hey, a lot more opportunity on Ethereum. Liquid staking derivatives are really hot right now. There's a lot of opportunity. We're only seeing a small percentage, I think 14-15% of all Ethereum is staked today. Compare that to 70-80% for most layer ones like Solana or other competing chains. So a lot of room to grow, right? We see Ethereum staking it's going to double, triple, quadruple, maybe even 5x in the amount of Ethereum that's staked. And that's just a huge market for us to be in. And one thing that we all want is more yield, right? And so there's always going to be demand for new ways to put that ETH to work. Everyone, no one says I have enough. Everyone wants more, and we're here to help give people a safe way to stack ETH on top of ETH.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Sometimes we just have to bite the bullet and be really strategic and selective on this trend. Speaking of yield, and let's just talk about your product a little bit today. Well, we are all aware of following the Shanghai upgrade, there were numerous projects that are actually venturing into the LSD sector. Well, they're trying to capture as much as liquidity, as much as tractions as possible. So, and you mentioned that you recently launched the Origin Ether. Is there any specific strategy does Origin protocol have, and can you also give us a walkthrough of Origin Ether and how does it look like?
Sure. Yeah. So the way you mint OETH is by depositing either ETH or any of the supported LSDs. So today that's Lido staked ETH, Rocket Pool RETH, and Frax ETH. So that you deposit that in. So what you're doing is you're stacking yield on top of yield. So you're getting that base rate that comes from the LSDs. And then you're saying, hey, how can we actually put that to work in DeFi to earn additional yield? And so there's multiple ways you can do this in DeFi. AMMs like Curve or Uniswap or Balancer, these are, if you're holding a basket of these assets, you can facilitate the trading between them. So we're seeing a lot of trading between these different types of assets. And of course, you can earn trading fees every time those change hands. We haven't turned it on yet. Actually, we have Morpho, Compound, Aave. All of these are sort of available as far as the strategies we could tap into for lending. So lending would be another opportunity for yield. If people want to lend out their staked ETH, you can earn yield on that. And so we can help facilitate that. And then all of the reward tokens that are issued by these DeFi platforms, they automatically get harvested, swapped, reinvested back into the protocol to earn compound interest. So that's basically what you're doing. You're taking your base yields from LSDs, stacking on top your trading fees or your interest, stacking on top of that all of the incentives that these different protocols are offering. So you're layering yield on top of yield on top of yield. If you've done yield farming yourself manually, you know how much of a pain it is and how expensive it can get. The typical flow is, say you have an asset, you stake it in a farm, you come back a couple of days later, you harvest your rewards. It's some random coin. You take that, you go swap it on Uniswap into the asset that you're trying to grow. Then you redeposit that back into the strategy again to earn more yield. And then you you have to repeat this process over and over and over again. And when you actually do the math on how much you spent on gas, you've spent hundreds of dollars on gas, and hey, maybe your yield isn't actually that great unless you're a massive whale and have tens of millions of dollars to play with. And so what both Origin Dollar and Origin Ether do is it give you access to the kinds of yields that those big whales are able to get, but you can get the same yields as they are without having to pay the gas costs or do all that work to maintain the position. So the cost of maintaining that pool is amortized across tens of millions of dollars, but you're still getting the benefit. You're still getting the same yields without having to do any of that work. So it's really the easiest, least hassle way to put your dollars or put your ETH to work in this space.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would find DeFi could be a little bit overwhelming for new beginners because, there are definitely the barrier is actually there, and also there's always our ultimate goal to make the whole product more intuitive, more handy for them to use, and definitely I can tell that's your the Origin Ether's mission. Let's just deep dive into the Origin Ether's mechanism. Well, when it comes to the your sources and allocations for Origin Ether, which can be minted through couple of collaterals like Ethers, like other LST assets, what kind of strategies are in place? Because basically, I can see you guys are trying to decentralizing the whole LSD market and even Ethereum as a whole, and there's constant struggle with Lido has been too big, and it may become a potential risk for Ethereum system. Mm-hmm. So is there any strategy, or what do you think of that?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of people concerned about how much power Lido has and what happens if we experience a major slashing event on mm-hmm. Lido. That can be really bad for the entire ecosystem. So yeah, there's definitely concerns about that. Long term, we'd love to enter the LSD market ourselves and not just be an aggregator, but actually help increase the diversification of the nodes. At a minimum, we're at least giving people access to a basket of different assets, and this can really help. Can really help you. When USDC depegged, we saw that OUSD really held up well, and actually. All of the strategies we put in place to protect the vault in the case of a depeg really worked well. OUSD was earning 40-50% APY, and then came back, stronger than ever, without depegging to the same levels that you would have if you were just holding USDC. And so mm-hmm. diversification can really help, and all of those same the same security features that helped save OUSD are already baked into OETH. So you're getting a diversification, and if we see a slashing event on any of these supported LSDs, you're going to have a benefit of, at a minimum, dampening the effect of that, minimizing the amount of loss that you take from doing that, and hopefully turning that into a profitable event for the protocol as well.
Wow. Would you also mind sharing us your long-term goals in this sector? Because there are definitely a lot of players in this niche, and mm-hmm. and I think we're somehow other than Lido, we do feel there are a lot more opportunities and there are a lot more market shares we can grab. Would you mind sharing us a little bit? Do you guys maybe set up a OKR thing, or
sure.
how to penetrate the market in the near future?
Sure. I mean, there are a few things that are on our roadmap. Obviously, we want to continue investing in the protocol with new ways of earning yield. So right now, the main strategies are AMO, which is on Curve, which benefits from the protocol buying CDX tokens, vote locking those, voting for more emissions to our pool, and then harvesting those to return to the holders of OETH. And so that works really well. But we want to, expand beyond that. So we're looking at other AMM pools for all of the supported assets, expanding to Balancer and Aura and that ecosystem, looking at doing stuff with Uniswap and LPing there from a protocol standpoint. Across all of this, like the user experience is just the same. You don't have to do anything. Just hold it, watch your balance go up. Easiest way to earn. When we look at kind of where the space is going and the things that excite us and are real opportunities, we're interested in things like SSV, distributed validator infrastructure. You can think of it a little bit like a multi-sig for validators, where right now, if a validator messes up signing a transaction, they can get slashed. Obviously that's bad for the holders of any liquid staking tokens, as they'll take that loss directly. But with things like SSV, what you're doing is like there's multiple validators that have to sign that transaction before it actually gets processed. It gives you kind of the same security guarantees as a multi-sig, where you can have 3 out of 4 people who are, as long as 3 out of 4 people are online or answer the question correctly, everything's okay, right? And so you have a little bit more fault tolerance where you can have a server go down and nothing bad happens. So I think that's something that makes a lot of sense. We've seen multi-sigs obviously have very wide use across the ecosystem, and it makes sense to have that at this foundational layer as well. Another area we think is really interesting is eigenlayer and restaking, ways that people can take the ETH that they have locked up in their validator and put it to work in other ways. How can we actually reuse that ETH to secure other networks as well, whether it's alternate layer 1s, layer 2s, things like Oracle networks, ways that you can then stack additional yield on top. And as eigenlayer or other restaking protocols come online, we're excited to be there on day one, building that into OETH just to stack that additional yield on top as well.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. I guess my next question would be, since we mentioned Lido and we mentioned LSD Sector, and I feel like, like in this current landscape of LSD, and now we're talking about LSDFi as well, those projects like Lido, Rocket Pool, and even Frax Finance, they have this like first mover advantage because they have established their presence like pretty early on. And even we have like new players and new projects are emerging. And since you guys launched the Origin Ether this month, we have to say like it's actually pretty like relatively competitive environment nowadays, given the narrative is pretty nascent and we got a bunch of players already. Well, what kind of key features that you would like to take it as unique differentiator compared to other competitors? Because I do know, like, technically speaking, well, correct me if I'm wrong, technically speaking, those people, they're not like Lido, Rocket Pool, they're not like your direct competitor, I would say, because you guys are more
exactly. So we're not competitors at all. And the reason is like we're helping them, right? We're helping grow their TVL. We've already grown their TVL. Just we're bringing new users in. More ETH is staking, trying to get into OETH. So we're helping them, and as we grow, it will help our partners grow as well. For users, it's not competitive either. You don't have to choose, do I want Rocket Pool ETH or do I want OETH? You can do both, right? You take your Rocket Pool ETH, deposit into OETH, and then you stack the yield on top. So what was great here is that we're not competing head on. We're partnering with them. Just last week did Twitter Spaces with Frax, with Lido, with Rocket Pool, and because they see it too, right? We're a partner that can help them grow, just like they can help us grow as well.
Yeah, I mean, because you guys are more like second order derivatives on top of this
correct
LSTs. So yeah, I guess for users end, they're just gonna compare the yield. That's all they're gonna do, and they're probably not gonna really deep dive into the mechanism. But yeah, it's just good to hear that you guys are like enhancing this sectors and this ecosystem together. Well, my next question is, given that the how volatile and how fluctuate the market could be, and also you guys are like seasoned, like experienced entrepreneurs, given that you have established your project back in 2017, and we aware of that not that many players were able to survive. Well, like sometimes we were just thinking that, do you think users would really appreciate like relatively stable yields, because sometimes the staking yields may fluctuate significantly along with the market cycles. Is there a demand for like hedging the volatility of staking yields, or is it something that a region would also consider in the future roadmap?
Possibly. It's certainly something I think there's some demand for. I'm not sure how big. I think for us, our goal is how do we make OETH as ubiquitous as possible? How do we make sure that it's integrated into every DeFi platform? How do we make sure that every protocol is pairing with OETH instead of ETH on exchanges, indexes everywhere? That's going to be a long road to get there, but it makes a lot of sense, right? Why pair with ETH and have millions of dollars sitting idle on Uniswap if you could be pairing with OETH and earning instead? And so that's really the future we see, where OETH is just integrated everywhere that you're using ETH today. And then from there, like people will very naturally build these extra, next order derivatives where you can do things like hedging out the volatility. If people are wanting like a fairly stable yield. Now, in this case, I think OETH is probably going to be relatively stable. I wouldn't expect it to be. You can expect it to always outperform the LSTs, right? Because that's kind of a base of what our worst APY should be. And then we're going to stack some on top, and it will go up a bit in bull markets and be a little bit lower in bear markets. But it's not going to be something that's going to be yo-yoing between triple digits and like it's going to be relatively stable. And we don't expect it to have wild swings.
Yeah, we will see. I mean, there are going to be a lot more like new innovations in LSD and LSDFi, and I'm pretty glad that you guys step in because you guys are like having all those expertise, and definitely will make the whole like sectors and even more make the whole like new narratives even more like mature. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and let's just talk about a little bit like about like LSD like overall, because it's definitely like as I mentioned that it's just becoming the newest innovations in DeFi sectors, and definitely we will need some new hypes because it's always in that way. Like in crypto space, we're always chasing, we always want to somehow lead the trend. Well, LSD does LSD does that, and it not only like boosts the yield for investor, but also enhance liquidity and improve the capital efficiency concurrently. And we've also stabilized the network. So it sounds like it's a win-win situation for every stakeholder. And it's actually, with like a lot of like multiple players entering this field, and I think it's pretty significant that we could address like various issues that they may have been overlooked in this niche in particular. Like we mentioned, Lido is growing too big, and maybe there are some potential like security risk or even from market volatility. In light of this, what is your vision for the future of LSD? It is gonna be the main driver for next bull run, or how do you perceive the path it will take like moving forward?
Yeah, I think we'll see LSDs become kind of the base layer, right? Where no one's going to want to have raw ETH sitting around, not earning yield, right? We're going to start using these derivatives, things like OETH, as a replacement, right? So if you borrow some money from me and we need to settle up later, I'll just send you OETH instead of ETH, and you'd prefer to receive OETH because that way it's earning for you as soon as it hits your wallet, and you don't have to. That'll just become kind of your expectation of like all of the ETH you have is like growing and earning more, versus having it sitting in this non-earning state. And so I think we're going to start seeing that across all of DeFi, right, where we start seeing just a wide range of integrations there. And it'll probably be pretty diverse, right? And with Lido obviously has a big lead, but there's other players that are growing quickly. Frax are gaining market share very quickly, and of course we're happy to sort of ride along with whoever takes off. And just provide additional yield on top. So, you know, we are sort of happy whoever wins, as long as we can, you know, kind of be along for a ride and help do our part to increase the yields.
Well, got it. Well, I guess this is going to be a really tricky question, given that you have your engagement in DeFi and NFT. So which sector you would think may, you know, drive another major adoption? Because we do witness how crazy it was in DeFi summer. And even for NFT, there were like a lot more like major brands, like mainstream media, they were talking about it. It was just becoming a buzzword for a while. Which sector you would think that may help us to, you know, drive more awareness, to have another, you know, to kick off another market cycle?
Yeah, it's a good question. You know, I was sure it was going to be DeFi. It seemed very obvious to me that this would be, why wouldn't everyone want this, right? The ability to, you know, take out a loan without having to talk to a banker or sign any paperwork. Like, that is just obviously a good idea. Why wouldn't everyone want that? But to my surprise, I think NFTs have done more for bringing mainstream adoption and awareness of crypto. You know, seeing Paris Hilton on, you know, go on TV and with Jimmy Kimmel and talk about Origin and what she's doing with NFTs, I was like, wow, her audience of people she can read is so much larger than what we can tap into just with DeFi alone. Now that said, like, NFTs have sort of fallen out of favor in the mainstream, and so what does the next wave look like? I have no idea. It is really hard. It's really hard to predict. Will it be DeFi? Will it be NFTs? Will it be something else that doesn't exist yet? It's really hard to say.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we will see. Like, market will tell us. And also, well, Mint Ventures, we're being really bullish on DeFi and NFT as well. So I guess we're on the same boat, and we can just see how it goes. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for your insights. And it's been really illuminating, and I'm pretty sure like everyone will learn a lot from this episode. Well, thank you again. Thank you so much for your time, Josh.
Thank you. This is a lot of fun. Thanks for having me on.